Morning all, hope you're doing well, hope you're staying safe. It's Thursday, May the 21st. News today, US cases up very slightly but still trending down. Florida cases again up very slightly yesterday, trending down over the past couple of weeks though, so goodish news there. Disney Springs reopened yesterday. I went there, I was there at 9:30 in the morning, spent some time there. There's a link to that video at the end of this one, so please have a look at that. It's about 30 minutes, so grab yourself a cup of tea or whatever you're drinking. Seaworld said yesterday it would reopen by the end of June. That was in discussion with Vice President Mike Pence, who visited Orlando yesterday. Disney World, Universal and Seaworld were due to present their cases for reopening today, but only Universal will now do so. Disney World and Seaworld have deferred their presentations. We're hoping that Universal today will provide an absolute date for reopening. Questions still around phase 2 reopening. When's that going to happen? That's when theme parks are allowed to open, the larger theme parks are allowed to open. I've got a recap of what happens in phase 2, what's allowed to go on in phase 2. We only got into full phase 1 reopening, remember, last Monday the 18th, and that's really the news today. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe, hit that notification bell, and you'll get this stuff 6 days a week right now. Okay, let's go to the news. The number of new cases in the US on Wednesday was 22,140, slightly up from Tuesday but down overall. In Florida we had 527 new cases yesterday, almost the same as Tuesday. Disney Springs opened yesterday with 44 out of the circa 150 food and beverage and retail outlets open. I was there to see the new social distancing measures that Disney had put in place and how its guests were reacting to them. New chairman of Disney Parks, Josh D'Amaro, took some photographs near the Polite Pig yesterday morning and also interacted with some guests. Vice President Mike Pence was in Orlando yesterday and took part in an industry and hospitality roundtable discussion. At this roundtable, SeaWorld interim CEO Mark Swanson said that he hoped to reopen SeaWorld by the end of June. This comes just a day after SeaWorld employees were seen riding Mako while wearing masks. Universal Orlando will today make a presentation to the Orange County Economic Recovery Task Force, including when they propose to reopen their parks and resorts. Under the terms of Governor DeSantis' executive order, any plans submitted to Orange County Mayor Jerry Demings must have a reopening date included. There was some confusion yesterday as Disney, SeaWorld and Universal Orlando were supposed to make presentations today. Both Disney and SeaWorld then said they would not be presenting today and would present at a later date. Questions continue to be asked about when Florida may move into phase 2 of its reopening plans. As a reminder, here's what they look like. Social distancing will still be maintained, but groups of up to 50 people can now gather. Teleworking is encouraged and employers should be screening their employees when they return to work. Non-essential travel will now also be permitted. Bars, pubs and nightclubs can open to 50% of their capacity, while restaurants can move to 75% of their capacity. Gyms and fitness centres can increase their capacity to 75% also, as can movie theatres and bowling alleys, etc. Large spectator sporting events can open at 50% of capacity, and theme parks may also reopen with capacity limit. Vacation rentals are allowed to open but only to in-state residents. Businesses such as nail salons and barbers can open to 75% of capacity now, as can retail businesses. So I read yesterday that all 50 states now in the US are reopened at some level, some more than others, and I guess we're now going to tell over the next couple of weeks how that's going to affect the number of new cases and deaths, if there's going to be a spike at all. Florida cases, we seem to be kind of, the past couple of days have been around the 500, 530 new case mark. It would be nice to get into phase 2 with a much lower number. Phase 2 was supposed to get a downward trend for the past 14 days or a lower total of positive cases in testing. So I don't know where the positive testing thing is right now. I'm trying to find that out. Very little information on the internet. Disney Springs reopened yesterday. I went down there, I was there at 9:30. They opened early. Just like at Universal City Walk, it was a really good experience. People were generally, and I'm overwhelmingly generally, very mindful of the social distancing protocols. Almost everybody had their masks on fully when they should. A couple of people were drinking beers and walking around, and I think they were just flouting the rules. One guy was videoing basically with his mask pulled down under his chin. Apart from that, the kids had their masks on fully, so I think the parents were doing a good job there. no issue with people coming within 6 feet of each other, generally in lines. When you've got signs on the ground saying don't stand, then people usually take real good care. Unfortunately, when those lines kind of peter out, then people start getting a little bit closer. I think that's just human nature. I don't think people are trying to buck the system. It's just what happens. But yeah, generally very calm. Not so many people there yesterday, just like City Walk last Thursday. But I enjoyed it. It was 92 degrees was the temperature yesterday. I had my mask on for circa 3 hours with a half-hour break during that 3 hours for some lunch. But yeah, I felt okay. Some people, I guess, will feel uncomfortable, but I felt okay with the mask on. So Disney World, Universal and Seaworld were supposed to present their reopening cases today, and that should have included absolute dates for reopening of resorts and parks. Only Universal are now going to do that for whatever reason. So I'm hoping that this afternoon, I think that starts at 2 o'clock this afternoon. I don't know whether it's going to be televised, but as soon as that news breaks, I'll be sticking something out there, and I'll definitely be on it tomorrow morning. I mean, that's going to be probably the major news of tomorrow, is when Universal Orlando resorts and parks are going to reopen. My feeling is still it's going to be July the 1st, maybe for them. SeaWorld, I don't know whether they were kind of browbeaten into telling people they were going to open before the end of June. However, they were testing Mako. There were people testing Mako with masks on just the day before. So maybe they are ahead of the game a little bit. And they don't have 2 parks or 4 parks or resorts to open. It's just that one park. So it might be that SeaWorld steals a march and gets open before Universal or SeaWorld. That could happen. I still think that Universal and Disney World will open at least 1 park each and at least some resorts by July the 1st. That's always been my stance, and I'm standing by that right now. In fact, I'm feeling more confident about that now, more confident than I have at many points during all of this. And no date yet for phase 2 reopening. That's when the larger venues and theme parks are supposed to reopen. I guess it's going to be, what are we today, the 21st. Even if it's another couple of weeks, that brings us into only early June. If they're not going to open until early July anyway, then it doesn't really matter. But I've recapped what phase 2 actually means for Florida in the video today, and you can see that generally it's things opening to 75% capacity. The theme parks said that they would open at 50% capacity, but I'm still hoping that they take a leaf out of Shanghai Disneyland's book and open up at maybe 30% capacity or less, just to see how that goes. Because although Disney Springs was fairly empty yesterday, I think that when the theme parks are open, there's going to be a rush for those tickets, or the annual pass holders will get in on that app and make their reservation. So it's not going to be like Disney Springs or Universal City Walk. So it's getting excited. I think I hope everybody's sensible and takes the right precautions even when these things do open. But that's the news for today. Stay well, everybody. I'll be back tomorrow, hopefully with big news on Universal. But yeah, stay safe. See you then. Bye bye for now.